You are listening to part 2 of the Biohacking Brothers podcast, featuring Mia Johanna Dige and the Lumen device.
With the Lumen, the great thing is that you have an objectable guide that actually tells you you're in this process of fat burning or carb burning.
In the small device is a very sophisticated CO2 sensor. When you are metabolizing carbohydrates, your body cells are releasing more CO2 into the blood.
Metabolic flexibility is the body's ability to be able to shift between carb burning and fat oxidation effectively.
I could take this measurement now and I'll find out if I'm burning fat or carbs or a bit of both.
Teaching your body how to burn fat for fuel rather than sugar.
Basically just empower individuals to become their own metabolic coaches.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it. I feel successful every time I do it. I'm like, yes.
I think tracking your fast is so important. I think everyone should track their fast. Lumen is a great tool to do that. I mean, I don't know any other, any tool better than Lumen because, again, it's quick. I can do every hour of my fast, I can take that measurement, no problem. Within seconds, I can see whether I'm in fat burn or I'm reaching fat burn because that's the goal during a fast. We want to deplete that glycogen, we want to hit the fat stores. What we don't want to see is obviously that stress response where we fasted too long. We want to ideally break our fast before that. How would you know, before this device? Like it was just guesswork. And
it was just based on time. It was just based on time. Like there was all these fasting apps that just timed gave you, you're at 16 hours, you're at 18 hours. Okay, great. But I didn't sleep right and I'm stressed out, I got a lot of stuff, maybe it's not such a good idea that I fast that long today.
No, again, as you said, it takes the guesswork out of the fasting because, as you said, you can wake up, be at a 3, you keep fasting, you drop into a 2 and a 1. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's healthy. But it could be that you wake up, you didn't sleep good, and you go from a 3 to a 4. Now you're going to gluconeogenesis. Now you're breaking down muscle tissue, which is the biggest thing that I found value in Lumen, that you can control and regulate if you're fat burning or if you're losing muscle now. Mm-hmm. Because if you're in a 16-hour fast and you're at a 4 or 5, it's time for you to break that fast immediately,
it's
right?
Time.
And the other thing is also being able to go from a 1 to a 5 and back down to a 1 within 2 or 3 hours. Yeah. It just shows really healthy mitochondria. Now, talking about losing muscle for women, it could be very hard to gain muscle. And how does the Lumen device sync for women based on their menstrual cycles, or how? For men, it's a little easier because we're regulated by diurnal rhythm. Women is a menstrual cycle, right? Monthly rhythms. So you're still regulated by diurnal, but monthly rhythms as well. So how does a Lumen device work for a woman? Because I feel that this device, although it's effective for male and females, for a female is even more effective.
Yeah. Especially with, women who want to fast because it's just a healthy thing. But if you do it too aggressively or you have too much guesswork and you don't take into consideration your cycles, then you can actually mess up your menstrual cycle, your fertility, and a load of other things that are not good for you, especially if you're a younger woman.
Yeah, and this is a great topic to cover because, again, it's something we didn't really in the past, look into or study. And now I'm so glad there's so many studies around fasting, for example, in women and how we need to fast differently to men. Again, you guys have got it so easy. We're on this hormonal roller coaster ride our whole life, and every decade looks very different. So I think it's really important, for any woman on a health journey, whether it's a weight loss, they've got a weight loss goal, or just overall health and wellness that they're trying to achieve, that they do take into account their hormones. Because again, hormones drive metabolism, right? It drives everything that our bodies do. So if we are sabotaging those hormones and not working with our bodies and rather against them, like you said, fasting for too long for some women, it depends on that time of month, it can be really detrimental and again impact their fertility, to name just one of many things that could happen. So the Lumen device advice, I feel, yeah, for women, it's really beneficial. A couple of years ago, we actually, we really listened to our community. We always listen to their feedback. And so we actually introduced the monthly cycle tracker on the app. And also there's an option to actually select if you're in menopause as well. So if you don't have a monthly cycle anymore. And so you will then, depending on what you've selected, you will get extra insights around your cycle. And then that helps you, again, it's back to like piecing together that puzzle, like what is impacting me as an individual. And for the woman, it could be that time of month. Maybe it's the week 1 in her monthly cycle that she should not be fasting. She will learn that. She'll understand that because she'll see that data, her own data showing her, hey, maybe this is not a good time to fast. Maybe this is the time of month that you're not going to be reaching fat burn as much. So we actually did a study. Our founder, Dr. Merav Moore, she's heading our research at Lumen, and she recently published a women's health study showing the connection between metabolism and hormonal fluctuations that women face. And I'm not going to go into the whole study, but it's incredible. Again, you'll find it on our website. But basically, it showed, the graphs are beautiful. It showed these fluctuations in our estrogen and progesterone during the month that we experience, but at the same time, it showed also the sort of prevalence of fat burn and carb burn during the month, and we see that for the first 2 weeks, just one finding, the first 2 weeks of a woman's cycle, the follicular phase, she's much less likely to be in fat burn.
The menstrual and follicular phase, right?
So the follicular phase is the first half of her monthly cycle.
Okay.
And then, so she's more.
I understand you have the menstrual, the follicular, the ovulatory, and
No, yeah. So you got the monthly cycle, and it's in 2 parts. So you got the follicular phase, the first half. The second half of the monthly cycle is the luteal phase, and in the middle is the ovulation. So we found with the data, and this is the biggest study done on metabolism and women's hormones, and almost 4,000 women were in the study.
Wow.
And so around ovulation, or the first half of of the monthly cycle, woman is less likely to be in fat burn. In the
towards the end,
the first half,
not the
first half, and ovulation.
Oh, the first half,
and then the luteal phase, the second half, fat burning potential increases. So why that's interesting, and why that I feel like is important on so many levels, that if you are a woman and again you're ovulating, this is your middle of your month, and you're waking up and you're going, God, I ate right, I did my exercise, I woke up in a 4 or 5. Why is that every month? And then you see this insight that the app gives you. You're ovulating. This is your body. Try to, in theory, create a successful pregnancy. What is it doing? It's relying on carbs, and it's trying to preserve the fat stores. It's it's a protective mechanism. And so that education makes women go, oh, okay, it's my hormones today.
Yeah, it's not me. It's not, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not a loser. It's just
not even, and it also seems like even for fertility purposes, for a woman to stay as fertile as possible, because the body needs carbs. Hey, right now it's not time to be fasting. Eat some carbohydrates to nourish the body when it's needed, right?
Yeah. So, and it's a good point, because look, let's just face it, fertility is on a decline. Period. It's awful what's happening. We've gone through these fertility issues with our wives, and it's tough. I really feel for women, because hey, you're living in a world that's already against you, in the sense that our food is poison and there's so many hidden sugars. And because of this follicular phase, your body, because you're a woman, is actually implying a mechanism to retain this fat, even though you're working your ass off to try to stay in shape. However, you are trying to get pregnant, right? And so maybe, you don't beat yourself up so much. You understand this process. And if it didn't work this month, okay, well, now you have 2 weeks where you can focus on your fitness and burn the fat. And then the next month, hey, let's try again. right? So it can really, the fact that the application and the technology can actually coach you in this process in fertility is amazing. Yeah. So the application for it across the board for women, which are already suffering from, metabolic inflexibility and infertility issues, this is a great guide, not only from an emotional perspective, but also from a physical kind of coaching perspective.
Meaning, as you said, you can be metabolically Olympic healthy, but at the end of the month, your body is not going to be that healthy, right? But it's not your fault. It's your menstrual cycle.
Yeah, and women can internalize things, right? So it's like, this is kind of like that support that it's like, hey, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just how your body's working and it's actually preparing you for a baby. Good for you.
Yeah, and it's also there's other insights, it's feedback from the women in our community again. Thank you so much for reminding me what type of food that I should be focusing on, the magnesium or the iron-rich foods for that time of the month, or, all those insights around nutrition that the app, gives the woman, because again, it's helping the woman cycle sync her nutrition and her activities in a way to protect her body and work with it. And also with menopause, I should mention, if you are selecting menopause in the app, then you also get insights around menopause and what foods you should be focusing on, maybe why you're seeing the levels you're seeing. So
because that's a super
study. I highly recommend everyone go onto our website and take a look at that. It was incredible.
And that's a super interesting point, because a lot of people don't know this. We're conditioned in this world that, especially for women who are menstruating, they lose, they have their period, so they lose a lot of iron in the process, right? So that's why some people, some women become anemic, and we're in this culture that we need iron. But once you cross over to the postmenopause, iron overload becomes an issue because our foods are now fortified with iron. So it's a great technique to let you know, hey, you shouldn't have these foods because they're going to create the opposite problem.
You'd be focusing on protein, for example, because then muscle mass decline is on an increase, right? Like you losing muscle, osteoporosis, we've got to, make sure again, these insights around bone health and muscle health around menopause. And again, you will find those insights on the app if you are a woman who's selected that. And again, it's just another reminder for that woman going, thanks for that tip, Lumen. Like, okay, I'm going to focus on that and work with my body. And again, with the men as well, like everyone has a metabolism. Everyone needs to, and again, like you said, we live in a toxic world. We have to do everything we can to control what we can control, to compensate for all the toxins and, the lifestyle stresses that we're facing today.
Yeah, we do have to live in this world. There is not 100. The frustrating part for most people that I think, almost motivates them to put their hand in the sand is that it's so overwhelming. Like the nutrient deficiencies and the endocrine disrupting chemicals and the toxins is so overwhelming that sometimes people are like, I might as well not even try because there's not 100% insulation from this. That's the wrong thinking, right? You do what you can, you do as much as you can, and you take advantage of the technology tools available to us, like the Lumen, who can give you objectable data and action items to do on a specific daily basis or on a weekly basis. Like, for example, Miguel and I, we suffer from sleeping issues, right? I mean, the Aura fixed that. It was a learning curve, we had to adapt different modalities in order to get an Aura check. I mean, when I first started wearing the Aura, it was like I failed an exam every morning, right? Because it was like, Jesus, how do I get this thing into control? And I started, you wear it long enough that you start to learn how your body works, and then you can adapt and make these changes, and then your life changes. So now I've been wearing it for 5 years. If I don't have it, I feel naked because it teaches me so much about how to implement my day. Right? Like sleeping starts the moment that you wake up, right? So how am I going to go about my day? If I know that I slept like crap, my HRV sucks, I'm not going to cold plunge that day. I'm not going to have a 2-hour workout, right? I'm going to chill, right? So with the Lumen, it's the same thing, but with the other thing that's killing us, because we believe in the 3-legged stool, right? So it's nutrition, exercise, and sleep. Sleep probably being the most important one. So we had a problem with that. We killed sleep. Now we slay that dragon.
At MHI, we're deeply concerned about endocrine disrupting chemicals, also known as EDCs. And based on an overwhelming amount of clinical studies, these harmful chemicals can deeply impact your health and that of your children in ways you could never imagine.
Our first and most crucial piece of advice in this area of life is to stop drinking tap water, as it is a significant source for chemical exposure. Protecting yourself and your family from these everyday chemicals is essential for maintaining good health and well-being.
That's why we're excited to present you with AquaTrue's cutting-edge reverse osmosis water purifiers.
AquaTrue's advanced 4-stage systems remove over 83 dangerous contaminants, ensuring clean and healthy water for you and your family.
Visit the MHI Recommend section on our website to learn more about AquaTrue and get your exclusive discount code, or give us a call if you have any questions. For now, stay healthy
And God bless. Metabolism is what is killing Americans and people all over the world. I mean, metabolism is the gateway to all the killers of humankind. And so we have such a big problem with it that learning how your metabolism works and adapting and shifting it via a health coach that you can have with the Lumen is an incredible achievement and an incredible tool to have in today's modern world as you're dealing with these nutrient deficiencies and endocrine disrupting chemicals and navigating this very difficult health obstacle that we face. So amazing work. Thank you for bringing the tech.
Those founders, Michal Marav, I mean, all respect to them for creating this. It's changed a lot of lives.
Yeah.
What variables does it take for measuring what carb intake or fat or protein you need per day? Is it height, weight, age? Obviously, I already see that you can plug in if you're menopausal or still menstruating. What metrics are being considered for the algorithm? Because before you say anything, I found very interesting and pretty accurate, and it's only getting better now with AI. I can take a picture of my food instead of having to plug in everything in. I've actually taken a picture and I have a scale in my kitchen. So I'll say, okay, I'm having 150 grams of sweet potatoes. Okay, then I actually go and weigh it, and it's plus minus 5 to 10 grams. So it's pretty accurate, and it's only getting better. So I found that very useful.
So with your first question around like the macro recommendations, like how are they calculated? So the wake up breath, it's the one breath we recommend. You know, we know people are busy. You know, for the three of us, I think we take a few breaths measurements every day because we love it, and we're, you know, if we're fasting, we'll take the measurements during a fast. But if there's only one breath measurement you take, it's the wake up one, because that is actually going to tell Lumen the metabolic state you're waking up in. And with that information and all the data you've input in your Lumen app, so your weight, your height, your age, your sex, you know, whether you're on menopause, if you're a woman, monthly cycle, your activity levels, all that combined, all that information with that measurement that you've taken will then tailor your macro recommendations. And I think that's so super cool. Like, that is personalization to the max. And then over time, it starts to learn even more about you, your Lumen, and you learning about yourself. And so the insights and recommendations become even more personalized. Again, if you've got the sleep data being input there over time, it's going to start to learn, you know, how 5 hours sleep is going to impact you, and then make recommendations around the mornings where you're not in fat burn and you've had a bad night's sleep. It'll start to go, okay, maybe this is a good time to.
So you're saying it's pulling my Oura information? I have to go into the settings because I don't remember allowing it, but so it's pulling that setting, it's measuring how much sleep I got, my HRV, and then making recommendations based on that?
Yeah.
It'll pull all that together, yeah. And so that is how, you know, the macro recommendations are, like the fat, the carbs, and the protein recommendations are set every day. So, for example, I gave my own example earlier that I was 85% carb burn this morning. I'm now.
What did you do last night?
Hmm?
What did you do last night? Did you go out drinking?
No, I don't drink alcohol, actually, so I can't even say that I had the wine or anything. No, it was like a really bad night's sleep. I don't know why. And again, I'm syncing my sleep from my Whoop into my Lumen app, and so I'm on a low carb day today to compensate for that lack of sleep. But you know, I want to do a workout, so I measured that high lumen level this morning and said, maybe this is a good time to go and do your workout.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's also helping me time my workouts, time my carb intake. It's, personalizing the carb cycling that we hear a lot about, personalizing the fasting that we spoke about, but also for a lot of us, it's personalizing our, schedule in the gym. Like, when is it best for me to work out? Actually, you know what? If I've got 85% carbs from the previous day, this is a great time to hit the treadmill for half an hour before work, before I sit on my bum all day behind the desk, and then watch the carbs as well. And that's how I'm going to balance my life. Because, we're not striving for perfection. Right. We're all for balance. It's all in, that's sustainable.
Yeah. And, you bring up a great point, because we're actually writing a book about this. I call it the makeup or the prepare or makeup strategy, right? Where you can plan your day based on where you are. You can prepare for a dinner, you can prepare a fast, or if you didn't get a chance to prepare, you can make up for it the next day, as long as you have this data. Because people forget that our metabolism is an archaic system. It's a beautiful system, but it's an archaic system. It needs time, right? Like, we metabolize, it could take 24 to 72 hours to fully metabolize food. So you have to work with this thing that moves slow and navigate it. And so to have the accurate data with you is an incredible thing. Now, you mentioned something really important where look, when we started first doing this, I still do 2 to 3 times a day measurements. Usually, I focus on the one in the morning, which is the most important one, because that'll tell me information about the previous day and how I should adopt today, for example. Now, when you say the morning breath is the most important, when should you ideally time it? Is it like right after you get out of bed? Because I know cortisol levels have to adjust. So when is the ideal time to get the early morning measurement? Because I drink coffee in the morning. So do I do it before my coffee, after my coffee? How do I time it?
Ideally, while you're still fasted, ideally when you've just woken up, again, we say, if you need to get up, go to the bathroom, that sort of thing, it's fine. But ideally before your coffee, when you're still at, rested state, because that heart rate's going to shoot up once you get out of bed and you're rushing around and trying to get out the door. Yeah. Then, your heart rate is elevated. So ideally before the start of the day.
Right now, I was going to say, I find that because you have a cortisol spike for at least 2 hours in the morning, DHEA and cortisol go up. If you look at the 4-interval measurement of it, the idea is literally you woke up, you don't snooze, you grab your device, and you breathe right away, because it's when you're at the calmest. And it actually made sense that it would give you the most accurate reading, because you haven't moved yet. So whatever reading you're going to get there is really telling you how healthy that mitochondria is.
Yeah, if you've been rushing around, like during the day, if you take another measurement, for example, during the day, then we always say, like, just sit for a minute or two, just make sure your heart rate is at a rested rate, and then take that measurement. But like, if you're running up the stairs and then take it quickly, it may skew the results, because that high heart rate will, potentially.
Okay. Well, so I've been doing it wrong, because I come downstairs, I have my coffee, I do.
Yeah, you do it like an hour later,
and then I do it like an hour after. I'm still fasted, right? But I do it like an hour later. But I could tell when I'm doing it, like, I'm a little agitated, because my day already started, so I have chaos already happening around me. So I'm gonna start. For the next week, I'm gonna do it right out of bed.
Yeah, I find that the most useful is actually morning and evening. The reason is because sometimes I'll eat and I'll be on a 5. And it's like, I'm already in my bed. It's like, no, I'm going to get up and work 30 minutes and get that number at least into the 3s if I can. So when I go to bed, I wake up in a 1, right? You don't want to go in a 5, because that means you're still digesting food. Yeah. If you're in that 5 mode, your body's still processing food. And I've noticed that depending on how much I ate or what I ate, I already kind of have a gauge of, okay, go for a 10, 20, 30-minute walk to stabilize that glucose before I go to bed, because I don't know if you know about this, but you want to be sort of on a fasted state when you're sleeping, because your body will prioritize metabolizing food while you're sleeping for preservation, but at the expense of repairing your DNA. You can't repair while you're digesting food. No. Right, and that's
a really interesting point, because we've traveled, and there's a difference in the read if you eat sitting on your butt, get in an Uber, go to your hotel, take a shower, and go to bed, then, hey, get out of the restaurant, walk a couple of blocks, get in an Uber, and then do your thing. Like the reading actually changes.
Yeah.
So the glucose control is a really important thing.
And that's actually one of the healthy habits that we find a lot of our community members have incorporated, where they've actually seen the difference in the reading, where they've had dinner, go to bed. And they'll go to bed then with, a level 5. But then they'll incorporate, maybe go for a little walk after dinner, around the block, neighborhood, 20 minutes.
Leisurely walk.
See, okay, maybe it's lower to a 4, for example, or maybe it's still 5, but because they've kind of like boosted their metabolism with a little bit of movement, they'll wake up in a lower level. So, but again, it's about exploring that and seeing what is actually working for that individual. And so that's actually one of the healthy habits that a lot of people have incorporated, and it's just changed their whole life.
And how simple is it to take a 10-minute walk? The privilege of walking.
Yeah.
Now, before we close out, I mean, is there anything next for Lumen? Any upgrades or anything?
You want me to share some juicy details of what's coming up? You're gonna have to stay tuned. You're gonna have to stay tuned. But what I will say though is that this is what's incredible about the founders. That we all really listen to our community, and over the years, if there's been some feedback in the community, like, hey, like for example, the monthly cycle tracker. A few years ago, we saw women going, wouldn't it be great if we could like cycle sync our nutrition and get more insights around what we need to consume? And we thought, well, okay, so the team did that, and we're always listening to the feedback and introducing more features. And I mean, right now the app is incredible. Again, yes, there's definitely going to be upgrades, more features, some exciting news this year, but that's all I can say.
All right.
Fair
Stay
enough.
tuned. I love it. We'll have you probably on board again, but to say the least, the device already itself without any upgrades is amazing. I'm just thinking with the AI, everything is just blowing up, right? It's just going to get even better, especially using the AI to read the data and fine tune it, right? So anyways, it's been very exciting to have you.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. We definitely learned a lot, and I hope for females, they start using this device to really help them professionally become metabolically flexible.
Yeah.
And for those of you at home, if you are interested in the product, go to lumen.me. And if you use code MHI, you'll get a 10% discount on the device. If not, just go to lumen.me and buy it. And that's it. And we hope you've enjoyed this interview with Mia as much as we have. And stay healthy.
God bless.